The second story relates to how rich messaging channels are now becoming even richer and even more exciting because of the introduction of AI into the mix. And the second story is again taken from some Juniper report, a Juniper report, Global Conversational AI Market 2025 to 2029, again available as a free download. And the suggestion there is that there's going to be a 30% uptick in the next 2 years thanks to AI. So, I mean, following on from the conversation we've just had, we are, if you think RCS and messaging is a valuable tool for marketeers, add a bit of AI in there, and what do you get?
Well, absolutely. I popped this in because it was I covered this story probably a week or more ago, but it fits nicely with today's story about CPaaS because it's sort of the other side of this, where this kind of rich media channels can lead. Part of that being rich business messaging and OTT messaging. It's going to drive e-commerce to some degree. It's going to, because traditionally e-commerce has always been really like relied upon people googling things and looking on Amazon and using their phone or their computer that way. But I think messaging, as we just discussed around the CPaaS story, is an ideal platform for like rich messages that can link people straight into buying stuff. It does bridge that gap between sort of an e-commerce website and a marketing channel. And according to this research from Juniper, it's also going to drive up spending on e-commerce, which I think just sort of really shows how important that messaging side of things is going to become as an ad channel, aside from all the other uses it has. And combined with AI, particularly when you get looking at sort of the click to chat and using it as a sort of chat mechanism, it revolutionizes how you can do marketing, what kind of things you can use as a sort of marketing tool. You can have a conversation, in fact, and it leads again to this conversational commerce, which we've talked about many times. And it's just interesting to see that suddenly this is all starting to come together. Largely, I think, because now RCS sort of closes that loop that everybody on any device can use any kind of rich messaging. So suddenly it's a really useful and interesting marketing idea for businesses, and now they get it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I know if you don't believe Juniper, then Twilio also backed this up by putting out some results of a survey that they did recently at Mobile World Commerce, which is really positive, I thought, in that they found that about 60, well, nearly half of the people that they surveyed, attendees in Barcelona, are already using RCS, and 60% of those are reporting an overwhelmingly positive impact on their customer communication. So, I mean, I suppose that's really anecdotal evidence from what they were picking up from Mobile World Congress, but that's definitely the sense that I'm getting, and I think it's not a massive leap of faith to understand that the huge benefits of RCS with regards to customer communications and how that experience is going to be better, richer, lead to a better experience, therefore customer acquisition, as we say, is going to follow along as part of that, if that is part of the strategy. Now, one of the other things that's we obviously focus on in the world of telemedia, the all important issue of payments and being able to once you've acquired your customer, being able to get them to pay seamlessly, quickly, securely. And there was an interesting point raised here that, whilst RCS is an important part of, this overall explosion or potential, wonderful growth that's coming through thanks to this sort of e-commerce and the way that all these things are coming together, it was obviously, and it sounds obvious, but it's very important to have very strong payment partnerships in place. And picking the right payment partner is absolutely crucial.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the sort of biggest caveat to this sort of messaging driven e-commerce boom is that the sort of complexity around the regulation and deployment of mobile payments, particularly the fact that it's not kind of particularly homogeneous across different countries, is a stumbling block to making this sort of leap into a kind of messaging instigated e-commerce sort of world, as the Juniper report sort of rightly points out. However, there's so much money at stake. $8.4 trillion by 2026 could be going through e-commerce globally. even a sort of tiny percentage, a tiny fraction of a percentage of that going through mobile payments is still a huge amount of money. So the impetus to actually make this work is there. And the more you sort of talk to people in the sort of the MVAS payment space in particular, it's rapidly, I think, sort of started to evolve from being we just use carrier billing to we use carrier billing and we're looking at all these other ways to pay, like wallets particularly, and Google and Apple Pay, which are technically also wallets. Uh, but it's starting to sort of really gain ground rapidly now. And I think at in the World Telemedia Dubai conference in a couple of weeks' time, 11th to the 13th of May, um, in the payment sessions now, I'm seeing it's not just about carrier billing; it's about carrier billing and alternative payments and orchestrating all of that so that it works seamlessly and where credit card and debit card also fit in and those sorts of things. So yeah, getting the payments right is the only way to really sort of realize this. But there's so much sort of riding on it. It's such a lucrative market that it's going to happen. It's just a matter of how quickly.